Everyone, this is Selena Krause for Trinity Stamps and welcome to Sneak Peek Day 4 of the Sparkle Season holiday release. In today's video, I'm featuring the foiled pine stamp foil and cut die along with the Simply Sentimental holiday stamp set and the coordinating die set. So from the foiled pine, I will only use the hot felt plate and not the die. So what I'm doing here, I want to make sure that the pine, the tree, is centered on my panel. So I am adhering it to a piece of printer paper that measures 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So when I add the foil on top and my panel to foil, it's easy to position it. So I set that aside. I plugged it to my hot foiling machine and let it heat. In meantime, I'm ink blending my background. I'm using blue, teal, and shades, 3 colors. So here I have 3 colors. I'm gonna switch those 2 that are closed. They were more blue, so I decided to go with more teal, kind of to fade from darkest on the top, lightest towards the bottom. And I'm using my blending buddy, the new Trinity Stamps blending brushes. So I'm using the same brush. I thought I was going to use 3, but I decided to use only 1. And since I'm going towards lighter color, I'm cleaning it on my cloth that you see there on the side to make sure that I don't transfer darker ink to my ink pad. So I'm quickly blending here. And when this dries, it's the color is gonna even out. Even if you see some streaks, that's gonna even out also as we apply more color. So I applied 2 colors. I applied the darkest one and the medium one, and now I'm going with the lightest one just towards the bottom and that center area. I'm touching that panel with my cloth so I don't leave any fingerprints. And we're almost done here. Okay, next what I'll do is I'll sprinkle some water to create that kind of snowfall look. And since I use dye inks, they're water reactive, and I'm quickly drying that out. I didn't want a lot of water drops because we're gonna foil in white, so I didn't want a lot of white. So since I have not used this plate, I was just gonna try it out to see if my sandwich, I have a couple pieces of printer paper between my 2 plates, will work fine. So I'm just foiling on a scrap piece of cardstock since I didn't want to ruin my already ink blended panel. I'm just going with the first try. So that foiled beautifully. There's a little overfoiling, but it's easily removable with a soft brush. I have a brush, this one with white bristles, that I know and I only use for removing that overfoiling for my cards. So now I have my white foil and I'm putting the ink blending piece of top. I'm adding my plates and the shims and running it through my die cutting machine. So here is the big reveal, and I think that turned out beautifully. I have a little bit overfoiling on the edge there and on the tree, but I was able to remove it pretty easily. So now I will trim my panel to 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm cutting off 1/8 of an inch on each side. Since my tree was already centered, thanks to having that guide with the printer paper. So now we just need to add a sentiment, and I'm using the new Simply Sentimental Holiday. I will stamp 2 of the stamps. I'll do holidays and happy. I'll do the smallest holidays, the script one. And I will stamp on some vellum. I have holidays there and happy a little bit above. I'm leaving some space in between to make sure I'm able to cut them out without any problem. I added some anti-static powder so I don't have that white embossing powder all over the vellum. I'm going to stamp a couple times to make sure that I have nice coverage, and then I will add that white embossing powder. I'm preheating the heat tool, so when I add it to the vellum it's already very hot, and I'm moving it quickly across that embossing powder so it doesn't warp the vellum or over or burn the embossing powder. Okay, now we're die cutting the holidays, and I will just trim the happy into a little tiny strip. So with the vellum it's very handy because you can turn it over and make sure that that sentiment is centered in the die. I'm securing it with some repositionable tape, and by magic of YouTube I have that die cut sentiment. Also by magic of YouTube I have already cut that happy sentiment, and I'm just trimming the sides so we have a shorter strip and we just have happy on it without any space on the left or the right. Next I'm using the Trinity liquid glue to add little dots of glue just under the embossed image, not image, the sentiment. So when adhered it won't be visible at all. Also this adhesive dries clear so you don't need to worry, it's perfect for, I find it works very well for vellum. I'm using a little T ruler to make sure that I have that sentiment straight and centered over the panel. I think that looks good. Since vellum tends to warp when you add moisture like the liquid glue, I added some paperweight on top and let it dry. Once that was dry, I added the happy sentiment, and again I'm using my T ruler to make sure that that's nice and straight. And I will do again the same thing, adding the paperweight on top to make sure that it dries nice and flat. Now I decided to decorate the tree. I'm using some bubble bath embellishments. I'm using two different sizes, the smallest and the medium ones, just to add randomly around the tree for a little bit extra sparkle. So I decided to add one more there, and one of the on the top instead of a star or an angel. And I think my panel is done and really like how it turned out. So to finish off my card, I have here a piece of scrap cardstock that's a little bit smaller than 4 by 5 1/4, and I'm adding on the back to add a little bit extra sturdiness. I will add two more instead of foam tape. So on the first layer I use the tape runner, so the liquid adhesive doesn't cause any warping on the top panel that's already stamped and foiled. But then for the other panels I'm just using the liquid glue. To finish off the card I'm adhering it to a top folding white note card. And we are done. Here's a closer look of today's card. Thank you so much for stopping by and watching this video. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel and also visit the blog for more ideas and more inspiration. Thank you so much. Bye!